If you have wondered where did you come from and how was planet Earth created, this is the right video for you. In this first part of the series, I'll be exposing certain points about creationism versus evolutionism based on scientific evidence and a little more. Okay? We're clear that these questions exceed our mental capacity. Therefore, I invite you to keep your mind open and your curiosity active for the following. We know that science means knowing or knowledge, and that a scientist is a person who participates and performs a systematic activity to acquire new knowledge, and that they use a scientific method, which is based on proposing solid theories and try to prove them. Okay? In other words, all knowledge that we have acquired as a society wasn't within us, but rather outside. And with the time, we have learned about what surrounds us through curiosity and maybe the occasional divine contact, right? I imagine you know about evolutionism, which is a famous theory created by Charles Darwin. And at the time he published his book, there was a lot of controversy. And yes, one of the famous scientists who opined in his book was the Professor Thompson. And he said Darwin did not present in the origin of a species that a species had originated by natural selection, but simply showed on the basis of certain facts and assumptions how this could have happened, and just as he had convinced himself, so too he was able to convince others. So I had to do a little bit more research about this, and I had to read his book, and I came up to the conclusion that he uses a speculative and hypothetical vocabulary in which he uses words such as perhaps, maybe, possibly more than 183 times. Yes, you can check that yourself in the link that I left in the description of the video. So could it be possible to consider his book as scientific? Professor Thompson had every reason to differ after reading his book, and I don't blame him because I did the same too. In addition, other studies contradict this theory. This since the theory says that a single cell gives origin to the most complex existing species without intervention. And according to Darwin, humans are the most complex and organized species of animals. However, this theory violates the first and second principles or laws of the thermodynamics. The first principle, you can read it here, meaning all natural processes decrease in energy and quality over time. And the second principle says that every transfer or transformation of energy in the real world becomes a form that is unusable, unable to do work. Based on this, how can evolution, which is a process of transformation, of change, say that a species can evolve into a more complex being over time? To blunt contradiction whatsoever. And as Amar says, if a kingdom is divided against itself, such kingdom cannot stand. On the opposite side of the equation, we have creationism, proposed in the Bible and written 2,000 years ago by Moses. Okay? And from the beginning, it clearly says how God created human beings and the earth without any speculative or hypothetical language. The word Genesis comes from the Greek origin. Okay? And so, where do we come from according to the Bible? The Bible says we come from the dust of the earth. Genesis says it, okay? In Genesis 2:7, then Jehovah God formed man from the dust of the earth and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being. It is hard to believe, but science proves that. Science proves that the four gases that make up the earth and the human body are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. But not just that. The earth is made up of chemical elements, which are also components in the human body, such as cal, iron, sulfur, phosphorus, sodium, chlorine, calcium, fluorine, magnesium, potassium, and more. So who showed that to Moses? I mean, this was long before the most advanced technological devices and the famous scientific methods existed. Only God can do that. According to biology, we are systems that exchange information. We're complex, we're open and stable systems, which verifies what Genesis 26 says. And God said, "Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds, over the air, over the beasts, and over all the earth, and over every animal that creeps on the earth." We were made to be at the top of all species, to have reasoning, and to maintain order through a moral basis. In 1862, Louis Pasteur demonstrated in an apparently irrefutable way that life could only come from a pre-existing life. And that's it. In other words, everything that surrounds us and what we are was made by a creator. But who created God? Our logic fails to understand that He's the beginning and the end. That's the answer. He is who He is. 65% of the greatest scientists in history support the existence of God, such as Michael Faraday, James Clerk Maxwell, Isaac Newton, Blaise Pascal, and the man who designed the first rocket to the moon, Werner von Braun. And yes, that guy knew when he said that science searches the glory of God. I would like to finish with one of his phrases. "The finite man cannot understand an omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent, and infinite God. Any effort to glimpse God, to reduce Him to our understanding, to describe Him in our knowledge, falls short of His greatness." My experience with science led me to God. Some challenge science to prove the science of God, but is it really necessary to light up a candle to see the sun? Don't miss the next video about evolutionism versus creationism, as we will go deeper on scientific evidence. See you later. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and share it with your friends.